And again, for those that are joining in, I am Uncle D or Uncle Devin Walker, coming to you from Washington, D.C., and just sharing with you a little bit about this new single. This is not just a song just to put a song out there, but this is a call to action. And hopefully people can get inspired. And, you know, as I say in my third verse, as I mentioned in my third verse, we say that there's 750 U.S. military bases in over 80 countries. That's a lot of places. The U.S. is the #1 supplier of guns that ends up in our street killing our daughters and our sons. Both parties, that's Democrats and Republicans, both parties continue to pass this budget despite the fact that the Pentagon has never passed an audit. They can't even say ceasefire. How cruddy. So it's up to us to make them move the money. And so my song is based in facts. I believe in sharing information that you can just go and look up. Any aspect of what I said, you can just type it in, and then you'll find research that will support that. It's not about emotion. It's not about just trying to follow a certain ideology or anything like that. It's all about facts, so that we can, you know, go and question the Congressional Black Caucus, who is absolutely quiet on this issue. I mean, I think that, you know, Kwame Ture once called them visible do-nothingness, whatever the case may be. They don't do anything around these issues. They just rubber stamp these things, and knowing the impact this is having on our communities. So we need to, I'm asking you all to write to your Congress people, write to the president. I want you to write to the Congressional Black Caucus, but more importantly, go to your churches, go to your synagogues, go to your mosques, go to your fraternities and sororities. They need to be making statements about this. Go to, you know, the Masons. Go to all your organizations, and everyone needs to make a statement and say something about this.
Like and share this TikTok.
And so I like for you, if you can, for those if you're watching this, make sure that you like this. I see some hearts going up, and I love it. Yeah, this is blessing my heart. So I want you to like and share this as well. I need you to like and share this so that we can continue to get this word out. Again, this is just my way of making a contribution. I encourage you to join an organization that may move the money or have a part to do with moving the money. This goes all the way back to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and the Poor People's Campaign, and what they were protesting against, what they call the 3 forms of evil. Racism, I think it was sexism, and militarism. It may have been poverty. Racism, poverty, and militarism. So we have, let's even talk a little bit about this. With what do you think happens with this surplus of guns? I'm shirt. I gotta get to keep the wolves in order here. What do you think happens with all the surplus of guns? Where does it go? I mean, when you amass this amount of money into something, you have no place. You don't even know where it goes. And as I mentioned earlier, they can't even account for $1.3 trillion of the assets that they receive. So they have no idea where it is. But I'll tell you where some of the military money is going to. It's going into local police forces here in the United States. All these cop cities in Baltimore and in D.C. and in St. Louis and in Oakland and in Texas, all around the world. It's going there to continue to repress our people in these particular communities. That's where all this excess is going. I had a friend that was from Cleveland that worked up somewhere in Cleveland. She went to one of the suburbs in Cleveland and somehow got a tour of a huge stadium. But to her surprise, when she went in, they just had tanks. I mean, a city had all these tanks just sitting there. And she asked about it, and she said, "Well, those are tanks, that was donated to them by the Defense Department. Stuff is just sitting here." And trust me, there are people that are anxious to use it. And so, what was that, real Aquarius? Yes, I am. Y'all are funny. I love it. I love people. Y'all don't know. I got my humor. My humor is something else. I tell people I got the driest humor out here. It's so dry, it's unwet. That's how dry it is. So, but for this issue here, I'm being real serious because this is impacting our children. The children don't even stand a chance for tomorrow because all of their resources that's needed to help them grow to where they need to grow is being sent to wars around the world. That's why I love the W.E.B. Du Bois and Paul Robeson and Mary McLeod Bethune. All these people that have been fighting against these resources for years, and these resources going into the military. It's really unconscionable that is still going on to this day. And so for me, I'm just going to give you one example, and then I'll let you go. I'm going to give you one example of how I used the platforms I was in to be able to try to make a change in this regard. So I grew up in the black church, like many of us did. I grew up in the black church, specifically the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. My father was a minister, but I didn't grow up as a traditional pre-K. He didn't become a pastor until I was in college. But nonetheless, it's there. And okay, thank you, Greg, for listening to the song "Move the Money." And again, thank you. We just need people to listen and spread the word. So I grew up in the church. So when I came out of college, I was fired up, y'all, because I was part of the student movement. At that time, we're talking about the era of conscious rap was huge. The second Black Power movement was really moving strong. And I was active at my school, at the UMBC, leading sit-ins there, working with the Maryland State Black Student Alliance, all these different groups. But when I went back to church, the church that I grew up with, these are my mamas, my dad, these people who love me. A lot of these issues that were going on in our community weren't being discussed. We had one church conference, and it was a weekend conference, and this is where you go and you go from a Friday night and you're there until maybe Sunday. Well, at the end of the conference, the bishop got up, and this was the late great Bishop J. Clinton Hogarth out of the AME Zion Church, and he said, "Are all minds clear? All hearts open?" Because everybody was ready to go by now. I raised my hand. I said, "No, my heart is not clear." And I stood up, and he said, "What do you have?" And I said, "Well, we've been here all weekend dealing with church business, and not one time did we talk about homelessness or poverty. Not one time did we talk about the amount of money that this country is spending on war, going at that time to the Iraq War. This was in 1991, or 1990-91. Not one time did we ever focus on any of these things." And so I decided, to stand up and just say, I'm sick of this. And as a church, we should be doing more. So what the bishop did, at first I thought I was going to get chastised because people were ready to go home by now. But they applauded me for having the courage to say something. I was 22 years old at the time. The bishop called me down to the front. And he commended me also. He says, "You know what, I want to commend you, young man, for having the courage to stand up and to share your passion as eloquently and as passionately as you did." But then he says something that forever changed my life. He says, "But I'm just going to ask you, what are you going to do about it?" That was one of the best questions he could have ever asked me, because it's easy to discover and to state a problem. but it's much harder to figure out a solution and what role you're going to play or I'm going to play in that solution. So I then went and wrote a 22-page research document. It was called The Silence That Kills. It was also in honor of, really, it was taking a twist from Dr. King's paper, Why I Must Break the Silence. And I went through and systematically and not only talked about all these problems that have been going on, especially in the fact that our religions are still holding up white Jesuses. Even though we were an African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, we rarely did anything that focused on Africa and Pan-Africanism or anything like that. And our theology was basically what was handed down to us from Europe. And then at the end of the paper, I actually had certain solutions. And one of the solutions was the Military Industrial Intelligence Police Complex campaign, where it was an anti-military industrial police complex. This was back in 1991. That paper was submitted to the church. It's a part of their official records. And for the next 20 years, I, as a member of the AME Zion Church, started organizing platforms around these very issues. I left the church probably around 2013, probably around 2015, I guess it was, for different reasons that I won't go into now. But nonetheless, that's how I was able to have these issues addressed in my own circle. And yes, it was the beginning of my PSAs, Uncle Devin's PSAs. So perhaps wherever you are, maybe in your own way, you can get the organizations that you work with to just take a position. Encourage, your local government to not only say ceasefire, because ceasefire is one thing, but the Palestinians need liberation. They need liberation, because actually, people, if you look at it, Palestine is actually in Africa. I'm going to do a post on that coming up real soon. How Palestine is in Africa. Again, more people of color being targeted by this. So, in your own way, in your fraternities and your sororities, raise this issue. You have huge power. You can just simply say, hey, listen, what are we going to do, or what can we do to help move the money from all this militarism into more social programs? When you go to your Masonic Lodge, what can we do to move the money? When you go to your churches or your mosques or your religious organizations or your community groups, what can we do to move the money? And what I'm going to be sharing with you through our platforms, as I will continue to do, is different examples of how people are, steps that people are taking to help move the money. And I'll also say that if you're going to vote in elections, and I got a piece coming up on this, organization presupposes voting. If you vote and you're not part of an organization that will make sure that those you elect are doing what you say that you wanted them to do or what they were elected to do, then we're dishonoring that whole civil rights movement, that whole civil rights fight. Because we didn't get the right to vote because of the vote. That's not why we got it. We got the right to vote because people organized. People fought and bled and burned down houses and burned down cities to the point where this country had to say, okay, let's give them the right to vote. So voting is good, but being part of an organization, then voting, and making sure that your organization is regularly going down and lobbying these folks like the big corporations are doing, and which is why they're continuing to get all this money, the Lockheed Martins and the Raytheons, or all these defense contractors that are just making trillions of dollars of taxpayer money, where that money should be coming to to the military. I mean, to the military. Listen to me. Come into social programs. And so, if you need help, if you need examples, hit me up. Send me a message. I have 2 books. I wrote 2 books that have plenty of examples of what I've done to try to make a change. And maybe it can inspire you into doing what you feel that you can do. So again, I want to ask people to make sure you follow me on TikTok. I love, go-go. Red Essence used to have the tick, the top. I say it now, the top, the tick, you dig? So I want you to follow me on TikTok, but also follow me on any and all of my social media platforms. We got some great content coming up. And so I really appreciate you all taking a little time on this Monday and sharing with me, this information. But I'll really ask that if you can share the video, like the video. If I was talking about, I don't know, I guess if I was talking about something about relationships and things going bad and someone got beat up and all these different things, I probably have 1 million followers. But this system has trained us to shy away from these types of things. And so that's why I say, please move the money. Give me some constructive feedback on it too. I mean, you may say I didn't go hard enough, or you may think you didn't like any part of it. That's okay. Let me know. I need to know. I need to grow. That's why I say I'm evolving with Uncle D. I'm a work in progress, just like everyone else. And so we want to move the money, move the money, move the money. So thank you all. And someone asked me, what's my thoughts on gun control? I forgot about that part of the song. What's people's thoughts on gun control? I'll end with that whole conversation. At the end of the song, I say I love gun control. Gun control has to happen, but it first must have to happen at the Pentagon. We need gun control at the Pentagon. Congress making bombs. How you going to talk about gun control? In our community, we don't make these guns. Where did they come from? How are there so many of them just so prevalent? We don't make them. Let's go to the place that actually is responsible for the majority of the guns in this world. We need gun control at the Pentagon. Someone has a shirt out, and in fact, I might have to get a couple of shirts where that's what we're talking about. They've gone pretty much. The Pentagon has gone unnoticed for all these years from the majority of the people. That's why I love what the Junkyard Band said in 1986. Reagan gave the Pentagon food stamp money. I mean, it was a classic. And that's why I want to continue to do what we're doing now. And so I just want to make sure that we continue, in this realm. And thank you all really for tuning in, because I'm honored. But right now, each one of you, just one of you, can make a huge difference. If you need an example of what to write to one of your Congress folks or what have you, send me a message. I'll help you to craft something. It doesn't have to be anything complex, but we can just say, wait a minute. And even ask those who are running for office, do you support this continuing out of control spending that's going into the Pentagon? We talk about gun control, but there has to be gun control first with those that are producing the guns. We have to have gun control at the Pentagon. And so you'll hear that in the song. I put all that in there. In fact, at first, I was going to make the song, that was going to be the name of the song at first. But that whole thing of move the money really resonated with me a little bit more. And I wish I can say I created I wish I said I created that saying, but it's a popular saying that many people have used. There's entities right now that are focusing on the Poor People's Campaign right now. They've been talking about that for some time. So it's not just something that I created, but I figured I will help to popularize it and give it a nice cadence. We got to move the money, and we open up as we say. I said, hey Congress, we demand from you, move the money. And the president needs to hear this too, move the money. Both parties playing us like a fool, move the money. We must feed the people, yes we do, move the money. That's what this whole song is about. I wanted that to just kind of resonate. Because they have us really, really believing that there's a big issue with the Democrats and the Republicans. They're playing a game in front of us. They jointly and are united around this issue of spending all of our funds on the military and not into these social programs. It's a game. They play the games and we pay the bills, and that's what we got to stop. It's really unconscionable. So. Okay, and the link to the bio, the link to the song is in the bio. Please make comments, share information as much as you can to many people as possible. And I like to hear, I saw Greg said that he liked it, he liked the beat to it. I told you, Greg, I had to get that beat in there first. I'm straight go-go. I grew up in D.C. area. I was born in D.C., raised in Sea Pleasant, Maryland, came back to D.C. in 97. It's about that beat, but that's just like with anything. Bob Marley had so much music, but it was the music and the message. Preacher man, don't tell me this. Heaven is under the earth. I mean, he used that nice rhythm, and he had that message. But just like so many of our artists have done over the years, and so I'm just hopeful and I'm grateful to make my contribution in this way, and want to continue with it. So
a lot of people are joining, so go back and kind of recap from the beginning.
Okay, thank you. So again, I see a number of people are joining in. Thank you so much. I am Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist, and we've been talking about my new single, Move the Money, and my new music video, which you can go and see by going to the link in the bio, or going to my YouTube page, Evolving with Uncle D. This is a social protest song that was in honor of Junkyard Band's The Word, that was in 1986, and it was released under the Def Jam record label. And they were talking about Reagan making bombs. Well, I wanted a modern day song to not only honor them, but to speak to the fact that whatever Reagan did, this country is way out of control, even well beyond that. And it's not just Reagan, and it's not just one party. It's both the Democrats and the Republicans that are playing us like a fool and taking our money and sending it around the world instead of where it needs to be, and that's right here in our own community. So we have a new song, a new single called Move the Money, and a video that you can go and take a look, and I need your help. I need your help to make sure that people see it, people hear it. Let your children hear it. Have conversations with them about it. Listen to it, and if there's something you disagree with it, let me know. I have a good friend of mine who's known me pretty much for most of my adult life, said, well, Devin, don't you think that we need to have some type of money going into the Defense Department? I said, well, first of all, it depends on what you mean we, because the U.S. military has never represented the interests of black and brown people anywhere in the world. So my thing is, we have the capability of controlling our own destiny. We can turn around all of the crime that's going on in our communities overnight if we took control of and we had community control over the police. The money that's going to all these police stations, if it came to us in our own community and we developed our own infrastructure to protect ourselves, we'll do a far better job than what's going on in these communities right now. And there's examples of that has happened over the years. The problem is, every time we attempt to control our own community in our own way, the same military systems and their their infiltration systems, whether it's the FBI, the CIA, and all of that, will come in and sabotage our communities to stop these programs from going on. All you got to do is go back and look at the counterintelligence program by the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover, and look at all of the different organizations, from the Native Americans to the Black Panther Party to Malcolm X to Dr. King to Elijah Muhammad to all these different groups that they sabotaged because they were afraid, and in their words, they were trying to prevent the rise of a black Madonna. The U.S. government put that in writing in their counterintelligence program. And so there's been systematic attacks to anytime that there's group collective advancement, you'll see all these negative things happening. Sure, many of us as individuals can make it. You'll see a lot of individuals that are making it. Some doing well in business, some are doing well in this industry, and some are doing well in that industry. It's okay for a few people to make it, but when it's a process that is built on making sure that all of us collectively can make it, that's when these apparatuses are implemented in our community. And so that's why it's important for us to teach our children about all these different things that, we weren't born with homicidal genes. All this homicide and all this other stuff is not natural. These are things, these are learned behaviors that go all the way back in this country to the black-faced minstrels, to the pickaninnies, to the coons, to the alligator baits, to all those things that you've been hearing me talk about on my social media posts. Go back and look at my social media posts about Jim Crow and looking at the song. Go back and look at my posts focusing in on the origin of Jingle Bells. Go back and look at my posts that focused on Queen Cleopatra. And look at all those connections. And so what you see in our community is not a natural thing. These are things that are manufactured. It's manufactured by a white, racist, capitalist system that is keeping its foot on our neck. And so I would just say that my song is one way that I'm trying to make my contribution to changing a lot of this. And so I hope that you will go to and go to my TikTok. Make sure you like my page, follow my page, share it, and also share the video. The video is nice. I got to give a shout out to I Am Entertainment, who did the video. A marvelous job. I mean, I love just the intricacies of it, all the, especially the I don't know if you even noticed the little flashing lights in here. I mean, it was a cinematic genius of a work that was done by Kimberly Locke and I Am Entertainment. So I really appreciate them for doing that. And so again, for those that are just joining in, thank you so much. I am Uncle Devin. I appreciate you taking some time to share with us, but I need your help. This is a movement. There's a call to action, and my call to action is move the money. How can you help to move the money? If you need help figuring that out, hit me up. I'll be glad to share with you. I can share with you different organizations you can join. I can be able to help you if you want to write something to an organization or your congressional folks or your mayor or whomever. I'll be glad to help you with that. There's so many different examples of how we can get that done. So I'm going to get ready to get out of here. It's, again, been a beautiful Monday, first Monday in March. I want to say happy Women's History Month. Got to give a shout out to all our beautiful women who have brought us life and continue to shine. And also, more importantly, for me, to black women everywhere, the mothers of Earth. So thank you so much. We look forward to sharing more with you. And again, let me know your thoughts. This is what this is all about. And as I always say, just remember that life is a drum. So beat it.